What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin Cash today. Shout out to the Dragon Rider. Shout out to the House of the Dragon. You guys, we are sitting pretty at 695 right now. The music is loud. I will turn it down. I will pause it once I get into the technical analysis. But right now, it's the greeting. It's the how you doing. It's the what's up, everybody? How you doing? We're going to be talking about if I believe the price is going to go down still. If I have foregone those prices, and where I see Bitcoin Cash going in the very short term. I want to be clear, the halving has just happened, okay? And this cycle is not just different for BTC, it's also different for BCH. There's evidence on both charts that it's 100% different for both of them, okay? But every Bitcoin halving, and technically during the last BCH halving as well, we were stagnant for some time afterwards. So just keep that in mind. We did just have the BCH halving. If we go up from here, that would still imply that there is some bout of stagnation and pullback and consolidation to come in the coming days, weeks, months even, so just keep that in mind. It's not guaranteed. Nothing has to happen because it's happened before, but the last halving we had was April, right, of 2020. And talk about stagnant, man. Talk about stagnant. Literally, right, it was this week in April. And we were stagnant essentially all the way until December, all right? We had a moment of excitement and then not. And then technically even this week here, right, in April, we pumped and we came back down, and then the next week we came back up. We had somewhat of a double top, and really we just moved sideways. This is over weeks, where right now our current look is based off of days, right? I do thank you guys that we could be working our way higher. I'm just going to cut to the chase. Oh man, I said I would pause the music. Let's do that. There we go. Music's paused. I do think that we could go higher. I know that yesterday and the day before, I believe, maybe it was even all the way back here. I don't know, maybe for the last like 3 or 4 days in a row. I forget how long I've been saying, but I was thinking that we would go lower. The first targets, of course, being around $600, and we absolutely demolished that, went down to 560. I did scoop a little bit up on this, but not as much as I wanted to. I definitely had price targets down at 500 to 530 in that range that just did not get filled, but that's okay. I'm riding on plenty of BCH, man. That's not my. It's far from my first purchase, that's for sure. But we're not here to talk about me, man. Yesterday, for those of you who are clinging on to the hopes that my downside price targets will come to fruition, it's absolutely still possible. It's absolutely still possible. The likelihood, because of yesterday's maneuver, has gone down dramatically, though. And there's a few reasons for that, and I want to go over why. First and foremost, we had a decent bit of volume. That was actually the most volume that we've seen, you guys, since March 2nd. Okay, so essentially in a month, that was the most volume we've seen in 1 day's time in a month. Pair that with the fact that we had a bullish engulfing candle. A bullish engulfing candle is where you have a candle that, is it engulfing technically? Yes, it is. So a candle that, if you scroll down, you can see it's larger than the candle body before from the opening price, and at the closing price, it literally engulfs the whole thing. Some people would identify an engulfing candle by, like, you would need to have some kind of wick down here that engulfs this wick, but most people, I believe, they just go off the body. That's how I do it. Anyways, bullish engulfing candle, most volume we've seen in a month's time, and on the RSI, we literally bounced off the 60. You guys, these are all bullish things. The 60 line is what keeps us in the bullish area of control, and we did just that. Now, keep in mind, if we go higher from here, we do set up to have not just one, but two drives of bearish divergence. Someone asked me to explain what that is, and I did that in the comments, but I'll go ahead and explain now. Bearish divergence is this. When you have your indicator, it's any indicator, but in this case we're using the relative strength index, the RSI, as it's commonly referred to. When you have the indicator forming lower highs, but you have the price forming higher highs, you get bearish divergence. Bearish because that would imply you go down. Divergence meaning it's diverging, right? They're going in opposite directions from each other. You're getting higher highs while getting lower highs. That is a divergence of sorts, and that generally does mark a topping area, a topping point, generally. Not always, but generally. We do see times where we got this bearish divergence, it keeps going up and everyone's like, oh, it's going to dump because we have this bearish divergence, but then it just keeps growing, right? You don't have a printed bearish divergence until you have a peak, right? Until you see something like this, until you have a peak, you don't have printed bearish divergence. Until that point, you could just be continuing to move up. And what establishes a peak is simply a red day. Whenever we get a red day, that will establish a peak. But now, will that red day happen before we go above these highs? Will it happen like below these highs here? Or will it happen afterwards? Because we could go higher. We don't have to stop even here. We could go absolutely higher. Like if Bitcoin Cash tore to $1,000 right now, you guys, we would have no bearish divergence on the daily time frame. It wouldn't be an expectation that I have, but it is acceptable. And I want to go over why it's a totally possible kind of thing that we could do right now. First off, we have 3 days left in this week, okay? 3 days left, and we almost have as much volume as last week. Like we've got, I would say in the next three days, we probably will end up having more volume than last week. With how it looks right now, you guys, I did say in my live stream yesterday that what would convince me to say that we are not going down anymore would be a reversal of this week, which we got it. We've got it. And it's still early to say that because we are only up 2.38% right now. So I'm being very real. I'm being very neutral right here. It's, you know, I don't know. Nobody knows, obviously, where the price is going to go ever. For me, at this point, I have flipped bullish, but that can quickly change back to bearish. It all depends on what this week does. I want to see how this week closes. If this week can close red, there's hope slash potential slash whatever the opposite of hope is, that we could go down probably to around this 470 area or that 500, 530 area that I was first talking about, because then we would have this bearish divergence on the weekly. If, however, it hasn't, and again, remember, this is still forming. This little like part right there, it's still forming. As long as we're closing green weeks, this can continue to grow and that bearish divergence can go away, okay? So that's why if we close this week red, the likelihood for going lower comes out a little bit more. If we close this week green, then you guys, we're going higher. And where are we going to go to? I was just going to get to that. From high to low here, our 2272 is right at $800. Right at it. We broke above the 886. Decent volume, not spectacular, but broke above it. Back tested it essentially. Back tested this area and had a dramatic recovery. You guys, the next target would be $800, and there's absolutely the possibility that we could go higher. We could see sometime in this month a price as high as $1,228. And I had somebody say, last time I'm listening to this guy, I sold all my Bitcoin Cash assuming that it was going to go to 500 to 530 like you said it would. Or maybe he even said, or she said that I said to sell. But not once, and if you guys can go back and watch the videos, I haven't deleted anything. I haven't. I don't re-edit them or like make shit up, man. I did not once tell anybody to buy or tell anybody to sell. I only told you to buy. I only said that what you should do is buy, and I even said that I was going to start buying as soon as we hit $600, and I did. I bought a little bit at 600, and in between, you know, I bought at like 580, 600. Those were like two purchases that I made. Very small purchases because I personally was confident that we were going to go a lot lower, and it just didn't happen. But that's why you DCA, because you never know. And that's also why you don't sell. And that's why I said several times, you can go back and watch the video, and if you were too excited at me talking about numbers going lower that you just misunderstood and you did not hear that part, I want to make it clear right now, you guys. We are at the halving point. The halving just happened. Wherever we go from here, however high we go, maybe this is it, and we do pull back. Maybe we go to 800. Maybe we go to 1200. Maybe we go all the way up to here. I doubt it, but you know, like however high we go, and I'm really heavy emphasis on this $1,000 to $800 area. Really heavy emphasis on there. Wherever we end up going from here, we likely will see a pullback. We likely will be stagnant, and we probably will even go below the prices that we're at now. So if you're patient, you'll probably get a second chance to get in. If you're doing this where you're panic selling on days like this, and now you're panic buying, you're going to get crushed, man. So I want to just further illustrate the importance of not trying to play the game. Don't think you're smarter than the market, okay? Right? Don't think you are. You can plan for it. You can try to predict the things, like everything that you want, that it's going to go this low. It makes sense. I like to say this because this is true. The TA was good. It just wasn't the proper outcome. Okay, the TA made sense. Everything I said was not backed in foo-foo nonsense. It just wasn't the proper outcome, and that's because TA is not rubbing a crystal ball. It's not perfect. It's statistical probabilities. Probabilities implying that you can be wrong and you will be wrong. And that's why if you think technical analysis is about being right more than you're wrong, you're going to get screwed. It's not about that. If you try to play the game like that, you're going to get screwed. It's not about being right or wrong. It's about risk management. And I say that every single time, man. That's 100% what it is. You can be right 9 out of 10 times and still lose money on that one time. Like, you could lose everything that you made in those 9 times being right if you don't know how to properly manage your risk. You can be wrong 9 out of 10 times and make money if you have good risk management and if you find the right thing to invest in. You absolutely can. Like if you put $100 in 10 different projects and 9 of them fail, but one of them does really well, and you don't play with it, you don't play the game, and you just let it do its thing, you can recover all your losses and then some, right? That's what I mean. Or even like 9 out of 10 trades. If you manage your risk properly, you cut your losses before they build up. Anyways, this isn't a TA guru video. This is a Bitcoin Cash video. Shout out to the Dragon Riders one more time. You guys, we're going there. I think we're going there. This bullish engulfing candle, the bounce off the 60. We're in the overbought zone right now. If we close today green, and especially if we close this week green, there's no doubt in my mind that we won't see $800. I think that's the next area. And I was somewhat convinced even after today that we could go up to $800, but we got the follow through to the downside, and it just started to be more and more prominent that we were looking like we would go to the downside, but we're not doing that. Especially with this day here, we had a lower low and a lower low here. There was no hidden bullish divergence. We just bounced right off the 60 here, bullishly engulfed, higher volume. It all looks good. And if we do this, is it this one? No, I just deleted that. It's this one. Oh, that's right, because it's on the 4 hour. High to low here. No, that's not it either. What was it? There was something. Okay, well, we can say this at least. Closing above your 886 at $685.21, that will also be a good thing. Closing above there on a 4 hour, sure, because this is so small, but on a daily especially, that would definitely mark that we'd go to $747 or $807, and I'm looking at that 807, man. That's at your 2272 on the larger extension, and the 1618 on this more minor extension. That would make sense to me, but there was something. What was it? Oh, it might have been this. This is what it was. Okay. Low to high here. Yeah. It's really uncommon, you guys. It does happen. And this kind of thing only happens when you're pretty damn strong. And it's very obvious that this is a pretty damn strong move. But we held the 236 for support. We held it. It's not a common thing. Like, I would say 90% of the time, genuinely, like, this is a very uncommon thing to do, okay? It can be more common if a chart has the personality of this, like, characteristic that it bounces off the 236, but it's not that it never happens, but it's super, if not 90% of the time, at least 80% of the time, you inevitably do go through it and find support on your 382 area or lower. This bounce here, totally uncalled for. Like, it's just, I mean, it had the potential for it, sure, and it went through with it, but it's looking like the real deal. Another line to watch would be this 670 area. If we close today above 670, which it looks like we're going to, if we close this 4 hour above it especially, this is kind of your last little indication that we would go up higher. And probably, again, based off of the relative fibs and this more macro fib extension, $800 looks to me like the next likely target that we'd go to. Now, we could be forming some kind of double top. That could happen. And again, I think we would know better if this was a double top or even a slightly higher high double top scenario, something like that, if and when we get a red day. Because if we get a red day, we will have double bearish divergence. And just to be clear too, we can have double bearish divergence. We can move down and then come back up and form triple bearish divergence. That might be when we dump. That could be how it looks. That could not be how it looks. But just because we have double bearish divergence doesn't mean it's completely condemning. But the more divergences you stack on, at least up to 3, the more convincing to the downside it looks. If you get past 3 divergences, it stops looking bearish and it starts looking like really strong, actually, is what it starts looking like. I know that's kind of confusing, but that's just genuinely how it is. Not that it's confusing, but genuinely, if you get triple bearish divergence, you don't mess with it. It very rarely fails you. But if it does fail you and you happen to get 4 strikes or 4 drives, 5 drives, it looks like 5 or 6 drives. It looks like you have like a dozen drives of bearish divergence. Somehow, however that happens, it's very rare circumstances where that happens. Odds are it's not bearish divergence at all. Odds are that's wrong, because you can't. After 3 drives, it stops being bearish divergence. I'm going over too much on the fundamental technical analysis side of things. I'm really just trying to talk about BCH. And I've said everything I need to say, I think, you guys. So watch for those levels. Watch for today to close green. If it does, good. If this week closes green, good. And I'm kind of having a funny feeling, man. By the end of this week, we might be up at $800. So be prepared for that. Nice bounce off the weekly RSI. Looks like we're continuing it. We literally did yesterday what I said we would need to do for me to be convinced that we're going higher. And what we did was we flipped, man. We flipped absolutely bullish. And again, this kind of thing, man, this happens in Bitcoin Cash. We get mega bearish days followed up by mega bullish days, right? We've got like these, ups and then downs and then ups and then downs. It's a very volatile thing. So I would not financial advice. None of this is financial advice, but if you made it this far, you at least deserve to know this. I would not buy here. I would not buy here. Do not do that. We're at the halving, okay? Likely wherever we top out, we will pull back, okay? I want to lay out some possibilities for you here, okay? If we put this low down here and we put it all the way up at, let's just say $1,000, okay? Let's say we go to 1,062, which I'm pretty sure it's above the highest one that I got. The 382, a common area again that you would pull back to, very common area, is down at 520, which would be right at this high here, okay? Just below that support point. No matter how high we go, whether it's $800 or $1,000, we will likely pull back at least back to these prices, if not very likely lower. Absolutely. I don't think that we'd go lower than that if that was the high, but I'm just saying that's at 1,000. If we were to move it down to 800, those numbers only get lower. Okay, so it's not a good time to sell, first and foremost, for anybody out there. And I'm being very stern with you now so that you hear me, right? I want it to be clear. None of this is financial advice, but in no way, no format at all have I recommended that anybody sell any of their Bitcoin Cash at all in the last year and a half. Nope, it hasn't happened. Not once. I've said I don't think it's a good time to buy. I've said that I think that there's better times to wait to buy, but that's different. And if you're new to the space and that you don't understand those differences, I've been there, man. I was in that same boat. Okay, it is different though. Okay, it's a language barrier. You have to understand the terminologies. And right now, the terminology that I'm using is it's not a good time to sell, but it's not a good time to buy. Very, very literal with those words. No tricks, no parlor tricks. It's very serious. Not a good time to buy. Not a good time to sell. If you're patient, there will likely be better times to buy. Does that mean sell here? Absolutely not. Because if it does go to 1,000, you're going to be like, why did I sell here? Like, what, you're going to panic buy the top, and then it dumps back down to where you sold or lower, and then you just feel dumb. You know what I mean? Don't try to play the game. Don't try to be smart. It always makes you feel dumb. Unless you're doing short-term plays or unless you have experience trading regularly, right? And you have at least, I would say at least 5 years of experience, if not a track record within yourself that you know has been proven. And I don't mean 10 lucky wins in a row, or not even lucky, 10 good wins in a row. I don't mean that. I mean, if you're new, if you've got less than 3 years of experience, probably less than 5 years of experience trading, you shouldn't be trying to play the game right now with something like this. And if you do short-term plays, like less than a day, if it doesn't go your favor, get back in. But man, I'm going off of all these things. Again, none of it's financial advice. Do what you want to do. It's your money. When you lose money, that's on you. Just like when you make money, that's on you. I'm not going to come asking you for money whenever you make money doing this. So don't come groping to me if you lose money, misunderstanding what I say, or making bad decisions because you're trying to play the market. That's not at all what I advertise on this channel. Not at all, man. Not at all. So anyways, I hope everybody fares well. I'm sorry I went on a little bit of a rant there. I think $800 is where we're going. And yes, it's a big flip-flop, but hey, $800, I'm at least saying that before we were above this high here, so whatever. I would have made this video earlier, at the daily close. I would have set it down here. I definitely, looking at the daily close, thought that we were going to continue to go up higher, but whatever, man. No way to prove that. But obviously, the proof's in the pudding. Look at how bullish that is. So enough talk, enough of that. I'm going to end the video. If you guys like the video, hit that like button. Subscribe if you want to see more. You guys, it does not matter how often you're right. It does not matter how often you're wrong. Of course, it's nice to be right more often than wrong, okay? But it's about risk management. And being that we are literally, Bitcoin Cash just had its halving, it's not smart to play with your life savings when we have a whole bull cycle to go. So don't do it. Don't play around. Just sit tight, expect the price to go lower, and when you're wrong, you're making money. When you're wrong, you're making money. That's how you know you're doing it right, okay? If you're right and you reap the rewards, you can just buy more, cool. But don't get greedy. Don't try to play this game where you're like, it's already down here. See, like if some of you sold here, if first and foremost, before I end the video, okay, not first and foremost, last and foremost, if you sold up here, okay, cool, you sold at a great time to sell. Anytime you see moves like this where you've like gone that far, you're already down like 15% from the high, it's not a good time to sell anymore. Because again, you never know when this volatility could come back. This could be a high point too. We could turn back around. That's also why it's not a good time to buy. But if you sold here and you're like me and you're just now seeing this price and you're like, okay, maybe I was wrong, it's going to go up, you're not taking that big of a loss. But if you tried to sell down here when emotions were running the highest, of course you're going to take a loss. Of course you are. You're playing it emotionally. I guarantee you, and there were people, you can see it here, prices were being transacted. There were people that sold down here. Every single one of them were a lot more emotional than the people that bought down here than the people that sold up here. And if you're making emotional plays, if that's you, I'm not poking fun at you. I'm not being mean to you. I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm trying to just be dad and tell you stop it. Stop it. If you're emotional, stop it. You're making a bad choice. Blame it on me all you want, but look at yourself. You're the one in charge of your money. I'm not. Do yourself a favor. Buy it and hold it. Don't buy it here. Not financial advice, but don't buy it here, man. It went up 12% yesterday. It's up 4% today. Don't buy it here. We just had the halving. Don't buy it here. No matter how high it goes, it will likely have a common retracement. It would be better to buy it at these areas after it went to 1,000 and it pulled back. It would be better to do that and just wait. In my opinion, it's always better to buy a pullback than to chase. We call this thing the dragon for a reason. That's why we're dragon riders, right? We ride the dragon. We don't watch it take off and then try to grab it by the tail. You ever grab a dragon by its tail? You get burned. I had a brother that grabbed a dragon by his tail. He got burned, man. He got filleted alive. He's in the dust now. No, that never actually happened. Obviously, dragons aren't real, and my brother is actually still alive. So he's actually a really good guy, man. I love my brother, bro. If you're watching this, I love you. I love you so much, bro, mom. You guys are amazing, and I love you. And with that, with the message of love, I leave you. But you guys stop trying to play the game. Definitely don't blame me if it doesn't go your way, because I'm not the one in charge of your money. I'm just making predictions that can or can't be wrong. It depends on how it goes. But for now, $800 looks to be the target. Take care. Bye-bye.